Hello, viewers. Welcome to Leadership Hall on African Town Hall online television. Leadership Hall is a program created with the main objective to prepare the rising generations for leadership in politics, religion, civil society, and entrepreneurship through personal development and personal empowerment so they can bring about the African Renaissance. The Town Hall Communication Company Limited is set up with the principal objective to leverage the power of technology to bring the rising generations, youth and young adults, people 12 to 30 years of age of Africa in one town hall meeting every week to meet, discuss, access books they can read and learn so that they can become leaders in Africa. In Leadership Hall, we interview young and upwardly moving leaders and others of older generations who can inspire the rising generations of Africa. We want our guests to help the rising generations know that they can begin to know what they can begin to do now to enable them become successful leaders. That is what they can do to become successful leaders in Africa tomorrow, against the backdrop of paucity of leaders in Africa today. We are all witnesses to the most endowed continent in the world. Africa is ruled today by mostly blind and brainless rulers who cannot be called leaders because they are not one. They are mostly political jobbers whose only credential is the ability to steal, ruin, and plunder the continent and its people. From our perspective at the African Town Hall Online Television, we believe in the saying that leaders are readers, and a reader today is a leader tomorrow. We want our guests to consider sharing stories of how books they have read influenced their lives and inspired them to take actions that brought about success. Today, we have the special privilege of hosting Mr. Okpokam, an emerging leader and entrepreneur. Mr. Okpokam holds a bachelor's degree in education from the University of Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria. He has already distinguished himself as a leader in a number of callings and assignments he had had in his life. Mr. Okpokam is married to the love of his life, Christy, and they have a super daughter. We are looking forward to a highly inspiring and engaging conversation with Mr. Okpokam that would inspire the rising generations of Africa to help them make the necessary paradigm shift that will galvanize them to become successful early in life. Mr. Okpokam, welcome to our online studios.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much for having me. It's a privilege to be here.
We are happy to have you in our studio today to be able to continue this critical discussion that we at African Town Hall is doing. Okay. Well, viewers, we welcome you to this special leadership hall interview with Mr. Okpokam. We welcome your comments and questions. First, let us know that you are here and that you can hear us loud and clear. We want you to leave your comments and questions on the chat bar. And as soon as I see them, and in an appropriate time, I will pull them up so that Mr. Okpokam will help us respond to them. Remember to be mindful of defamatory and inflammatory statements while commenting. This is Leadership Hall on African Town Hall Online Television. The African Town Hall Online Television is a program of Town Hall Communication Company Limited. We invite you to visit our website, www.theafricantownhall.com, and to sign up for our e-newsletter and browse through our other program to see how we can use our expertise to bring your company and business activities to limelight. Okay, Mr. Okpokam, we are
Yes,
pleased to
sir.
have you, and we would like you
Yeah.
to take a time out in the beginning of this program to share with us about yourself, your family, your hustle, what you are doing right now for a living, and what you are preparing yourself to do and to become in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on this Africa Leadership meeting. It's a privilege for me to be here. I've been following the program for some time now, and we have had a very insightful discussion from very young people and older people. I really want to use this opportunity again to thank you for actually organizing this wonderful platform where young people can share their mind. But just like you have earlier on introduced me, my name is Okpokam. I'm married to Christy. We have a beautiful daughter. And for me, I think what matters most to me is that I'm a Nigerian. So I really love to keep it at that. Looking at the kind of time we are, I think it's time for us to focus more on the fact that we are Nigerians rather than focus on our ethnicity or our tribe. I believe that will help us solve some of the problems we're having. So most importantly, right now, I'm a proud Nigerian and I'm happy to be one. Uh, just like you said earlier, I graduated from the University of Calabar. In my days in the university, I was actively involved in student unionism. For me, there's just no way I would have gone into the university and come out without getting myself involved in student unionism. So it actually helped me to X-ray our society from that very point. So at least I had the privilege of engaging with young persons, with lecturers and other leaders. So it was a wonderful experience for me to actually get myself involved in student unionism, even at the highest level, the politicking and all of that. And what I do for a living, I'm a sound consultant as well as a sound technician. What I do is that I uh, I do purchases of sound system, I do installation, I do maintenance and repairs, maybe in conference hall, in church. And part of what I also do is that I also have another line of that business where I also hire sound system. So maybe you may want to say that I'm a DJ, sort of, but mostly what I do is that I rent out those sound systems and then I set them up and ensure that people have good sounds for the occasion. And in a challenging world as we are faced today, there are many vast opportunities. So I also have interest in online marketing. We have the forex, and we also have the cryptocurrency marketing. So these are all my areas of interest. So I've also tried to do something in these areas. So it has been worthwhile. There have been setbacks. There have also been gains. So these are some of the things I'm doing. So that's about me. That's about Okpokam.
Okay, that is great. We are really happy to have you come here today, and we are looking forward to a lot, especially with all the experiences you had so far
Yeah.
in your life from the university. You served a full-time mission for the LDS Church and all of that, and so on and so forth. So all those are wonderful experiences. Okay, we'd like to kind of have you share with us. We like this in front of this interview because one of the things
Mm.
the African Town Hall systems are doing, that is the Town Hall Communication Company, and then the online television, the Project 30 before 30 we do for the rising generation mainly, is to encourage the young people to read books. So we always like our guests to start up front to tell us which books they have read that inspired their lives, that touched their life, or maybe they are still reading that affected their lives. And then are there heroes in your life? Are there heroines whose life has affected yours? So if you will take a few minutes and share with us about books, heroes, and heroines that have inspired you.
Okay. For the books, one of the books I know have some of the books I've read that I know that have actually helped me over the years. I think of a book written by Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince.
Okay.
That's one of the book I know that has inspired me because, and because of reading that book, uh, what I tell people is that when you read books, you have the liberty to filter what you want, what you can take out of that book. So, for me, reading The Prince actually shaped my view about leadership. There were some things I took away from that book, and there are some things that I may also decide not to take away from the book. So one should know the things they can filter and take out of it. So The Prince is one of them, and I also think of uh, Things Fall Apart, written by Chinua Achebe, that helped to X-ray the African culture, and I also think about A Man of All Seasons, still written by Chinua Achebe. Then I think of Purple Hibiscus by Ngozi Chimamanda, and I think another one is Half of a Yellow Sun. I think still by Ngozi Chimamanda, and Robert Greene, uh, that talks about the concise act of seduction, and the 48 Laws of Power. I didn't finish that, but I know I had gone far reading that. And also a book written by Nelson Mandela, The Long Walk to Freedom. So these are some of the few books, and I think I've just like you mentioned earlier, I'm a Christian, and I am a Latter descent. So I've also read the Book of Mormon. That's a book I've also read. I've also read A Marvelous Work and Wonder, written by Richard LeGrand, and I think in a number of them, which I may not be able to mention right now, but these are all books that have actually shaped my perspective. And not to forget, I'm also currently reading There Was a Country, reading also written by Chino Chibi, which helps to X-ray the Nigerian society during the war and after the war. And there's another little one also written by him. It's called The Problem with Nigeria. Still also written by Chuna Chibi. And for those who are my hero, one of my heroes is the great Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. A very articulate, a man who loved Burkina Faso, who didn't just love Burkina Faso, but also wished the same liberation for Africa. He ended up laying down his life for his country, and also think of Nelson Mandela. I wouldn't end this by not mentioning Nelson Mandela. He was a great example. He was a great example who showed and demonstrated integrity and character on what it means for one to be a leader, one who one who did not fit into that narrative of power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, and power corrupts absolutely. And then I also think of Mother Teresa, a woman who had distinguished herself with service. Yeah. So those are some of my hero and heroines and others. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Walker, there's no doubt that you caught a clear picture of the kind of people we want to speak to on African Town Hall Online Television, because the target is the young people, and we want these young minds to know how much they can gain from books. Where you said these are the few books you have read, with the number you can mention immediately offhand, that is not few books. I'm sure that you have read a lot more than that. I've read a lot of books. I'm still reading books, but I don't know if I can recount
Yeah.
so many immediately. So
Yeah.
you are clearly a true example of the kind of people we want to speak out, so that the young people can learn what they would do to be able to shape their lives. Books shape our lives. They influence our thinking.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it also gives us, like you mentioned, I like what you said. When we read a book, we are at liberty to take what we must take from that book. And that is the truth. The book contains so many things, but there are some of them that impact on us, some so fast, so direct, and then they change everything for us and put us on the path of success. I appreciate
yeah,
that a lot. From all the things you have shared also at this beginning, I get a feeling of a young person who is interested in making things work in this country. So that also has given me hope. Thank you very much for sharing those thoughts. Now, viewers, you are still watching the Leadership Hall interview today with Mr. Okpokam A. Okpokam on the hot seat on the African Town Hall online television. Uh, Visit our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Their names are all the African Town Hall for more details of our activities. And this particular broadcast is coming to you live from the African Town Hall Facebook page. While there, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember to click on the notification bell so you will be notified each time that we post a new video. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Okam, October 2020 would enter the annals of Nigerian history as the month and the year when the Nigerian youth, dubbed by President Muhammad Buhari to be lazy and who had hitherto been docile on national issues, rose up from their slumber and with End SARS as their hashtag, demanded an end to police brutality directed against the people of Southeast, South, South, and Southwest Nigeria, and then also asked for a redefinition of Nigeria so that it will be more accommodating to everyone. They exemplified great leadership in the organization of the peaceful protests that we did not know that they are capable of. Now, the questions that I have from this situation for you is, what do you think and feel about the handling of the protests by the government of Nigeria? That's the number one question. There'll be a second one when you're done with that.
okay, thank you very much. First, let me read into the line there where you said the our current president, I think 2 years ago, tapped Nigerian youth has been lazy.
Yes.
For me, I think that was a statement that the president made without him knowing knowing the true reality of what Nigerian youth are all about. I'm very sure
Yeah.
that the president may have lost touch with what was actually going on in the country at that very time. I think he has actually lost touch. At least I have had the opportunity of traveling around some major cities of Nigeria. Let me use uh, uh, Lagos as a case study. I've had the privilege during my years as a full-time missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I happened to serve in Lagos. I mingled and interacted with young persons. Now, you could see young persons who are very hardworking. You could see young persons who are very desirous to give in their all, to give in their time and energy to ensure that they're able to put food on their table, they're able to pay their bills. In fact, some of them even go as far as even combining that with education. I have been, I myself, I am a testimony to that. I am one of those who combine both work, hustle, education, and family at the same time. I didn't do that out of abundance, but I did that because I was willing to make sacrifices. So I think the president actually insulted the intelligence of young Nigerians because even in Calabar, here where I am, you see young persons who are hustling, who are doing all they can to see that they make life easier for themselves. Some of them are even taking care of their younger ones, they're even taking care of their parents who do probably due to condition or to sickness can't fend for themselves. So the president for me actually insulted many young Nigerians. The president doesn't know the president didn't catch up with the reality of what was in the country. I talk about young Nigerians who are movie producers, young Nigerians who are entrepreneurs in nature, young Nigerians who have businesses, young Nigerians who are employing even their mates. For myself, at a very tender age of 18 years old, I was already an employer of labor. I, I employed my
Wow.
friends to work for me. I employed my friends to actually work for me. At that,
Wow.
at that, as as soon as I left secondary school, I didn't want to stay at home. I immediately went to work. So at the age of I think towards the end of my when I was 18, I already had somebody working for me. So
Wow.
I don't think the statement of the president met with the reality. The president for me insulted Nigeria. See, the fact is that yes, there are young persons who may decide not to work hard, but you cannot use that to conclude. You cannot use that to draw a line that the young Nigerians and that the Nigerians are lazy. Let's be honest with ourselves. Look at Nigeria. The best African artists in Africa are Nigerians. You go to the Western world, you talk of education alone. Recently, not too long ago, I learned that in South Africa alone, you have over 2,000 Nigerian medical doctors in South Africa, and they are the best. In fact, as I speak to you, last year I was speaking to a friend who's a medical doctor. In fact, as I speak to you, I can tell you that he's one of the best medical practitioners we have in town here. But he was thinking of leaving because of the environment. And when he told me that, I was moved to tears. I was saying, just look at what we're about to lose. That we are losing our best brains to other nations just because of how we are treating them. Yeah. So for me, that statement by the president did not represent the true nature of Nigerian youth. Then to the second issue of how the government had handled the protests. Seriously, I think at some point I felt so ashamed of myself for being Nigerian. I felt so ashamed of myself for being Nigerian. Let me just say this. Sometime in 2004, there was what we call the Orange Revolution or Orange protest in Ukraine that started from November and ended by January of 2005. Now, do you know that during that revolution, only one single person died? And the question would be, why did the person die? The person died of heart attack. The person didn't die because the police fired tear gas or fired gunshots. Now, the government was able to manage that revolution, even though it was against them. Nobody died apart from the person who died of heart attack, which would have been a result of probably him having underlaid medical issues.
Mhm.
Now, we also remember the French Revolution, I think, which happened sometime last year. How many people died during that protest? We also had the one in Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Upon even in the midst of provocation, the government didn't use any live bullet, any live bullets. Recently, in the last 3 weeks, there is protest currently ongoing in Thailand. How many people have died from that protest? So, for me, it beats my imagination where a government that had promised to bring about change, that they couldn't handle a simple protest. They couldn't protect the life of these young persons. For me, what the government should have done at that very period would have been for them to have deployed security agencies to protect these young persons rather than sit aloof and expose them to further danger by allowing hoodlums and thieves to infiltrate their rank. So for me, the government didn't do very well. The government didn't handle that protest. In fact, you could see areas where you could see some politicians who are trying to score very cheap score or present themselves as though their true loyalists who went as far as even organizing talks, paying talks to come and infiltrate and release mayhem on the protesters. No, it's these are things that we shouldn't be discussing at a time like this in a country. So for me, the government didn't do very well in handling that protest, even though after a while they said they had accepted the demand of the protest. Even after they accepted the demand of the protest, and there still wasn't enough security to protect these young persons. And we can see the aftermath of that. We can see everything that played after that. Young persons who were being young unarmed protesters who were being shot at the Lekki toll gate, and the aftermath of that. Only I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. We had some government officials who went to visit the site. They went there. They went and picked a camcorder camera. I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are things that kindergarten children should be doing, but we see them play out in our country every day. So for me, the government didn't do very well in handling that protest. The government failed. They failed.
Okay, and Okam, there's a point you made here. You said the only thing that move they made is to go to the toll gate scene of the shooting, and that is shooting of peaceful protesters. And we need to mark the fact that at the point when these protesters were shot at, they were in one place, and most of them were sitting on the ground, waving the Nigerian flag.
Flag,
And
yes.
those soldiers that shot them, are they from the spirit world? Are they not Nigerian soldiers? Governments, who are the first line of government officials? And what are soldiers doing out in a civil protest? The protest was not an armed protest. It's a civil protest by young people. So soldiers were not even supposed to come to that place. And when you mentioned the camcorder, it made me laugh. Reason was that the camcorder that Mr. Fashola discovered was a 1970 or 80 version of camcorder, which is the kind of camcorder he said would have bought as a young man in those days. The modern day are not going with those kind of camcorders. That camcorder in particular, the resolution is not even up to the resolution of your poorest Android phone today. So why would the youth want to use those kind of camcorders? I just hope that the Nigerian rulers do not shame themselves more by saying, oh, that camcorder had the following things on them, showing that the people were beating up soldiers. That's why soldiers shot at them. I hope they won't come up with that kind of nonsense.
Well, I think with the responses and backlash that they had gotten after that event of discovering the camcorder. I know first the minister said that he had discovered a secret camera. I don't know what is a secret camera. A secret camera is something you cannot see. That is what is a secret camera. And this is not rocket science. A secret camera is something you cannot see. But you're talking about a camcorder that was sitting on top of a concreted surface, something that everybody could see. And this is a place that had been cleaned up. So how come the entire place was cleaned up, was combed, and nobody discovered that camcorder? And was the camcorder being powered by solar? So how long did the camcorder last? How long did it last? So maybe the camcorder was being powered by solar, so it was able to last for almost 4 days without going off. These are questions that needs to be answered.
The thing is that our rulers are becoming more and more ridiculous in their efforts to cover nonsense. And I think it makes the coming out of the young people a very wise thing, something that we all need to applaud. Luckily, they didn't come with any violence. The violence was by the talks that were introduced externally. You mentioned it now, and we knew it, that it is government sympathizers and the government themselves that introduced these talks, the people who started looting. The protesters were never rioting, and they were not looting anything. Okay.
And again, that even reminds me. Now, if I can remember, I know that in the Nigerian police force, we have the intelligence gathering units. We also
Yes.
have another department called the GSF. Before now, we know them as SSS. They now call themselves the DSS. So my question is, in the midst of all of this, what was their function? What were they? Were they not supposed to be gathering intelligence? And why are we paying the money? And unless we are saying that, that they should be scrapped, because for me, it has shown a lack of professionalism and wastage of Nigerian tax. See, I pay my taxes. I know how much I have paid as taxes in the last 7 years. Understand? So, but this is not what we are paying for. So it simply shows that that something is wrong somewhere.
You are right there, Mr. Okpokam, and I think there's just no way we can run away from the fact that things are not right in this continent. Nigeria being the centerpiece of this continent. If the continent of Africa will be right, Nigeria needs to get it right. And right now we are behaving as if we do not even have any head, not to talk of brain cells inside our head. And it is very annoying. And we have Raymond Bobson Stephen watching from Sierra Leone, and he's saying that autocracy is on the move in Africa. And I'm happy our giant is taking the lead, I'm sure, relating to the demonstrations, the protests in Nigeria. That is very thoughtful of him. Okay. Following that, the second question on that axis is I said, what gains have the Nigerian youth made with these protests? And how can they consolidate these gains to future political leadership and the change we want in Nigeria?
For me, no, let me recall back my days of active student unionism in the university. Now, I can tell you that while the university that probably out of 100% of the students, I think only 5% or maybe 7% of students get themselves actively involved in student unionism. The rest of them uh, don't show interest. For me, I would suppose that it would have to do with their background, with their previous training. Probably most of them may have come from families or from homes where they were not being encouraged to take active part in things that has to do with governance, in things that have to do with electioneering. I think the main focus of most parents have actually been on the fact that go to school, study hard, get education, get something doing, and then get a job. But I think over the years we have had the older generation who have not really taken time enough to mentor these persons when it has to do with having active interest in governance and in electioneering. So even at the university level, I saw all of these things. In fact, many times I have to come around and encourage my classmates. Ah, you guys should come out, show active interest in this. They'll tell you, please, I don't have time for all of that. No, all of that. This is the reality of it. But at the same time, there are still some youths who show interest in these things, and it is those same youths who were the ones who were able to project what we just saw that just happened in the country. And through their projection, they were able to carry others along. Other youths saw into their vision and they came along. They were carried during this process. Now, that protest has actually achieved a lot, even though at the same time, yes, there were some mistakes which were we had made. I think it's also an opportunity for us to learn. One of the gains of that protest is that now we have the attention of the government, not just the attention of the government, we also have the attention of the world. Now everybody is actually watching and seeing what the government will do uh, will do from here. So for me, we'll call on the government not to make light of what has just happened. So we have gained the attention of the government. We have gained the attention of the international community. Panels have been set up. Young persons are getting themselves involved in this panel. So I think this is a time for us to actually go back and engage actively with government. Engage with government both at the local, at the state, and at the federal level. It is time for us not to be passive about it. any longer if we must get ourselves involved in how to decide our future, because over the years we have seen that there have been a very lackadaisical attitude of many youths when it had to do with the activities of government. But they were serious; they were actively engaged in pursuing other worthwhile venture. But from this moment, what we are saying is that let the youth, let's continue in that spirit. Let's keep that fire burning in us. Understand? So we have made some gain. Though some mistakes were made along the line. I think one of the mistakes that we had made during that period was the fact that if we had saw this coming, what we would have done is that we would have carefully designated our area of protest and would have informed the government, would have informed security agencies. See, look, this is where we are protesting. This is where we are protesting. Any other person protesting at so place, please, they are on their own. Whatever is going there, we are not aware. So I think we have learned our lessons and we have also made our gain. So we are building on this game to actively and continuously engage government and to also encourage our youth to ensure that for those of them who do not have their PVC, when once the electoral umpire open up the portal for voter registration, please, they should actively get themselves engaged because there is going to be a paradigm shift. Things are going to change. So I think these are some of the gains that we have made. We now have the attention. SARS has been disbanded. Let's make no mistake. There are some elements, there are some persons who were even part of that protest who wanted SARS to be disbanded for their own negative agenda. Let's not make that mistake. That there are persons who are happy, but we need to become very, very vigilant and very, very watchful. I myself, I have been a victim of police brutality, so I actually know what it means. I've actually have to spend a night in cell because of wrongly being accused. So I actually know, I know what it means, and I think going forward, let's engage, let's engage more.
Okay, this is a very, very incisive and powerful presentation that you have made here, Mr. Okpokam. And I'm so excited that I have you on this platform today because your voice is coming off very strong and powerful and very reasonable and to the point. And a guest we had on this program some weeks back made it clear that the youth cannot continue to sit back. And that was before the protest. He said the youth need to come out in the front burner. They need to take the lead. And he said, he gave a statistic that startled me. He said that according to the European Union report, that youth, that is people between the ages of, uh, say, 20 to 45 years, are 60% of the registered voters in Nigeria. In other words, if the youth decide, they can put one of their own as president of Nigeria. And I think, apart from getting the attention of government, in my own opinion, I think the youth should have by now, should realize now that they have the power. You know, all the things that happened during the protest, the way the protest was managed before the hoodlums came, the kind of economic activities they participated in, prepared food, fed people, everything in
Yeah,
orderly manner, happening simultaneously all over the country. I mean, that, of course, these are the jet age. This is the jet age. I mean, this is the digital age. The jet age was my own time also. This is the digital age, and they maximize the use of that. And we can no longer continue to be ruled by those who were using analog camcorder like the type that Fashola discovered for us at a playing ground as a hidden camera. I mean, we are beyond that age and should conduct ourselves beyond that. I like the
yeah, yeah,
invitation
yeah,
you gave. Yes,
yeah.
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, all of this thing has really exposed so many things. Now,
Yes,
see how these youth were able to contribute money. Now,
yes,
you could see accountability. You could see how they could give details of how the money was being spent and what was
yes,
left. In fact, it just reminds me. You can imagine that during the lockdown, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian and Human Affairs came out and told us that that government wanted to embark on feeding school children who were at their homes. Who does that? I think with almost how many billion naira. I think
600 and
some 2 weeks
something.
some 2 weeks ago, I think when there was an independent report that I think that almost about between 2 to 3 point something billion naira of that program, that money was found in somebody's personal account. Why would you go and feed school children in their homes when government was already providing palliatives? Who does that? No, no, these are things that beat my imagination. Government was already providing palliative, and at the other hand, you were still going to go and feed the school children. How? How was that going to happen? Not me. I mean, these are these things are really these are things that we should be talking and discussing about. How would you go and feed school children who are in their homes, whose parents, according to you, were being given palliatives? I mean, it's imagining. Take for instance, if the government were to feed those protesters, they would have told us that they have spent about 100 billion in 1 week feeding the protesters. But you could see how food went round and there was surplus and they could give accountability of how much was left.
I had on
This is not
daily
rocket
basis. On daily
on daily
basis.
basis. So in fact, even when the government decided to block some of the accounts, there were still means of contributing. No, I mean, but and the question is, how come for the last how many years government has not been able to trace the account of those who are funding the terrorist group in the north? But they were able to trace and block the accounts of those who were supporting and sponsoring the protest through food and medical and other things. I mean, these are questions we should be asking. How come? Up to now, they can't tell us how the terrorists in the northeast are how they are getting funding. But within the space of 1 week, just because they want to silence people who were calling for their legitimate right, they were able to block and 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 get to know how the account was being funded. It's no, it's despicable.
It is despicable. And, when Jonathan was president, he said that Boko Haram were in his administration. He said that much. In other words, it is not that they don't know who is sponsoring Boko Haram or where the money comes from and how it goes. It is just that the interests on the side of Boko Haram is that better than national interest for these people who are ruling us. And this is where people like me, old as I am excited with what the Nigerian youth did recently. I'm grateful that they were able to come out, and I want them to continue to come out until things change. I don't have an ambition to come and start ruling even a local government in this country. I'm 64 years old. What do I need to do that when there are 28-year-old prime minister in Sweden? And in places like Australia, the prime minister is a 32-year-old woman.
Yeah,
Why should
yes.
people like us, like Buhari and Amechi and Lai Mohammed, be moving around in the corridors of power when the rest of the world are now bringing out their youngest? That this is the point for us here, and this is why African Town Hall Online Television is here to help people to come out and speak and show that they can do. Today, the way you are articulating, I do not see a man like you giving a position of authority, not failing to use it to serve, which is the most important thing, the only wise thing to do with power. Thank you. Viewers, we are happy that a number of you are viewing and leaving comments. We appreciate them. Some of these comments will pull them up in due course and discuss them, so don't go away. Others who are viewing, we invite you to ask questions and leave comments to help this discussion continue to be very germane, so that we can have a new Nigeria, by extension, a new Africa. This is our target, a new Africa. Okay, thank you. I would like to share with you information about Project 30 Before 30 International. Project 30 Before 30 International is a program created by the Town Hall Communication Company Limited as a vehicle for providing free coaching and mentoring to the rising generations of Africa to help them learn personal development, gain personal empowerment, and through this personal empowerment, learn entrepreneurship and leadership. And then, as they gain this training on entrepreneurship and leadership and can make their own money, then They can midwife the renaissance of Africa when people like them become leaders because they know how to make money, because they have their own money. They are not going to steal public funds because if they need money, they know how to make it. But what do we have? We have rulers in Africa who are just political jobbers. In fact, to me, in Africa today, the only leader I know about is Paul Kagame of Rwanda. No other one. All the other people are just rulers who are hungry and stealing. That's just what they're doing. So, young people who are listening and anyone, we invite you to leave your comments and come to know. We invite you to come and learn more about Project 30 Before 30 International by requesting for a copy of our manifesto. The Project 30 Before 30 International Manifesto 2020 is available for you to download from our Facebook group page, which is the same name, Project 30 Before 30 International. You can also get it by sending me a WhatsApp message or call or text to +234 818 339 8461 +234 818 339 8461. So that is how you can get your own copy of the manifesto. Our desire is to put the manifesto in the hand of 1 million Africans in 1 year because we know that the content of that manifesto will change this continent and help this continent become a lot better. Okay. Now, let's come back to you, Mr. Okam. Please give some counsel to the rising generations of Africa on what their attitude and actions should be towards politics, political power, elections, and the need to get away from the current political jobbers rulership of Africa to the emergence of true leadership in Africa. So, can you counsel them on what they should do and think and act towards politics, political power, and elections?
Okay. Let me start by sharing some of my experience. You know, I wouldn't say I'm rich. I wouldn't say I'm poor. But what I would say is that at least I am able to sustain a family. Now, but all of this didn't just come easy. Now, first, I would love to invite the younger generations for them to actually identify who they could look up to as a mentor. Identify somebody whom can be your mentor, somebody that can inspire you. It could be in any field. Now, it could be somebody who is a doctor. It could be somebody who is a banker. It could even be somebody probably you think who is a good leader. Now, this does not necessarily imply that if the person is a doctor, that you want to be a doctor. Maybe the reason of you using that person as a mentor could be because you want to learn how to become disciplined. You want to learn the work ethics of that person. So I will invite them to identify somebody who is a mentor. For me, I have had mentor. I have had mentors. I have had people. I have looked up to people who have encouraged me, who have helped me along the way. I have made mistakes. They have guided me. So as youth who are growing up to take future leadership position, I would uh, I would invite them to to actually have mentors they know they can look up to, mentors who can lead them. It could even be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your brother, it could be any person that you know whose life is worthy of emulation. Have a mentor. And another thing again is I also invite the youth for them to know that they need to start small. They need to start small. You don't just start big. It doesn't just come that way because there is a danger if it just comes big. The danger of when it comes big is that you may not be able to manage it because you have not had the requisite knowledge required to manage that. So they need to start small. Out of small and simple things are bigger things accomplished. So they should learn to start small. It's very important and build on those successes. For me, my philosophy is that if for whatever reason, if for whatever reason you realize that you have made mistakes or you have made bad decision, it is never too late. I mean, it is never too late for you to realize those mistakes or decisions that you have made and start anew, set a new goal, and work on accomplishing those goals. So it is never too late for you to stop, for you to realize that, oh, this thing that I've been doing in a particular way is not going well. So you can stop and begin anew, set new goals, and work towards those goals. So talking about goals, I also invite the rising generation for them to set goals, set short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. Now, as you set all these goals, also set out in academic circles, we'll call it axioms, or we'll call it a bullet points. Set out ways on which you want to go about to accomplish those goals, and think of making use of the immediate resources within you. Then, as time goes on, you could have other external resources. So, think within you, think of how you can use the immediate resources you have within you to see how you can accomplish those goals you have. So set your goals and work towards those goals. And another important thing is that uh, you must be willing to take a decision. You must be willing to take a decision and work towards that decision. Now, some of these decisions that we are going to take will be very, very difficult decisions. There will be decisions that will inconvenience you. There will be decisions that will make you to go through suffering. There will be decisions that will make you to learn lessons the hard way. And one of the things that I think the earlier you learn to pay your bills, the better. For me, one of the things I did was that after my full-time voluntary missionary service with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when I came back home, I told myself that I wasn't going to stay in my father's house more than 25 years. That was what I told myself. Now, how I was going to do that, I don't know. Now, I told myself that whatever happens, whether I had admission in school or I didn't have admission in school, whether I was in school or not, whether I was working or not, and I wasn't going to stay in my father's house again when I'm 25. And as soon as I clocked 24, I told myself it was time to leave. In fact, I didn't even wait until I was 25. As soon as I was 24, I had to leave. I left the house, and I bet you I left with with very little or no resource. My experience was that I also identified a young friend of my age mate who was also willing to also take the same journey. Both of us, we caught up together, and we started our life. We got a very old apartment which had been abandoned, and that's how we started. In fact, at that very time, I had gotten admission into school. My parents were supposed to pay my school fees, and you know, when my parents asked me, I hope you understand the implication of what you are doing, that moving out of the house, you are simply saying you can take care of yourself. I said, yes, I do understand. And I left. And, it is something which sometimes I wouldn't advise most young person to do because I don't know their capacity, I don't know their strength. But I left, and along the line, I had to forego that admission. Not until I think 2 years after I got another admission, and uh, by that time I had to work to see how I could pay my way, uh, pay my way, pay my tuition fee and other school. With I think at the same time, also recognizing. Let me also recognize this, that at that time my my dad uh, came in again and also uh, lent some support to me. But basically, I had to take that decision that before so time I'm going to move away. So you must set a target. Understand? So it's going to come with some pain. Understand? You must be willing to do that. So you can't sit in your comfort zone and expect to assume that leadership position in future. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to make decisions that will make you to learn. It's like gold. Before you have gold, it has gone through many refining process. So I will encourage the youth, the rising generation.
It does appear that there there's a technical issue with Okpokam there, and you will agree with me that the conversation with him today has been very incisive. He is such a wise man. He is such a person that has a great hang on what is going on. We expect that he will show backup, and if he does, we'll continue the remaining aspects of this discussion. But before then, let me pull up some of the comments we have received from people who are viewing. And if you have just come to join us, we invite you to leave a comment or a question on this subject. The subject matter today is a leadership hall interview with a rising generation leader, Okpokam A. Okpokam from Calabar in Cross River State of Nigeria. We have been reviewing the current situation in Nigeria, the way forward for the young people, and then reviewing his own life, the things he had done in his own life to bring great development for himself and the example for others. We have had the following comment, which I would like to pull up on the chat bar so that we can look at them. Um, uh, Raymond Bobson Stephen from Sierra Leone have made a lot of comments in this even showing his following. He said, "Autocracy is on the move in Africa, and I'm happy our giant is taking the lead." And I'm sure he means uh, the time for the youth to take over leadership in Africa has come, and Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, is taking the lead with the success achieved by the youth of Nigeria, by the rising generations of Nigeria in this October 2020 protest. Though it was hashtag End SARS, I think he have moved on since to become End SARS, End Police Brutality, End Bad Governance, and Redefine Nigeria and all of that. So thank you, Raymond. And Raymond Quick also added that Nigeria needs a Pan-Africanist leader like Paul Kagame in Rwanda. And I agree with him totally on this because Paul Kagame stands out today as one man who have become a clear and positive influence in Africa. Um, I've been reading about Paul Kagame, following over many things around him to understand what he's doing differently. If we even check from the work he did during the genocide in that country, when everything seems to have been lost, as a military officer, he rose up and then took control of everything and corrected those things. And he didn't make himself a maximum ruler at that time. He allowed democracy. He was made a vice president. Then, in due course, he became the president. Now, one thing he had done clearly that is very wonderful, for which I join Raymond to say, yes, Paul Kagame is a good example, is he teaches the rising generation. If you go to YouTube, you'll find videos of him mentoring, coaching, and lecturing rising generation. I have not seen an African head of state do that before. All they talk about is their politics and sharing and stealing of money. This president comes down and meets in town hall meeting with only young people of the country, and he teaches them. I mean, that is something that is exceptional. That is what the next leadership in Africa should. And we should need to know that Paul Kagame was quite much younger when he took over leadership in that place. He's still very, very young. He's still a boy compared to the living dead we have in Nigeria and all the older people in Africa who can no longer walk, that people have to carry around, and they still stay there because the military gun is surrounding them. Raymond also say gerontocracy has failed Nigeria for many decades, so it is time to give a chance to autocracy. Gerontocracy, I'm sure we know, is a government by old people, by the generation that are supposed to be archived. According to our last guest on this channel, he said that the people who are ruling Nigeria are those who are supposed to be archived. So this is a problem, and I agree with Raymond in that. And Raymond further said, for the first time, I saw no tribalism, no regionalism, non-partisan among the Nigerian youth. And I think that is a very good sign, which personally I also agree with. This NSAS hashtag NSAS protest is one of the greatest miracles to happen in Nigeria and Africa that will help midwife the change we look for. Our prayer, even and counsel, even as Okpokam has shared with us today, is that people the Nigerian youth should take advantage of what they have achieved and just simply continue the march forward. I appreciate all of those comments, Raymond. And we also have from Joseph Nicholson. Joseph Nicholson says, what happened in Nigeria tell us young people that if we work together, we can change the African together. I hope Sierra Leone young people and others African nations young people will speak in one voice. And I think Joseph Nicholson is also from Sierra Leone. So uh, Joseph is saying Nigerians have shown example. This is what we ought to. We ought to be the ones showing example for every good thing in Africa. And since we have not failed to show that for a long time, the Nigerian youth has showed it. And Joseph is saying this is commendable, and he's recommending this for Sierra Leone and the whole of Africa so that things can change for good. And I think we have more comment from Raymond. He said, for Nigerian youth to stand with one voice is a sign that God is interested in Nigeria. And you know, many people have said this. Sometimes I used to wonder if God is really interested in Nigeria the way things have happened. But these recent events, I agree with you, Raymond, is a sign that God Himself is interested in Nigeria. And in concluding our broadcast today, I'd like to share with you an opportunity to get your own copy of the Project 30 Before 30 International Manifesto. Now, to share a little story about this manifesto, the Project 30 Before 30 International Manifesto 2020 contains the principles, the ideology, and philosophy of Project 30 Before 30 International, designed for the young and rising generation people of Africa by the Town Hall Communication Company. The target is to help the rising generation access personal development, which we at African Town Hall uh, uh, online television and our Town Hall Communication Company and the whole media of African Town Hall, we provide for free till the end of this world for the rising generations of Africa. We provide it for free, that personal development coaching. We also provide for them personal empowerment coaching, leadership coaching, and entrepreneurship coaching. And all of these, the philosophy and ideas and the process for doing all of these are contained in Project 30 Before 30 International Manifesto. Our intention is to put this manifesto in the hand of 1 million Africans within the next 1 year. And you can get your own copy by simply um, sending a WhatsApp message or call to +234-818-339-8461 or email project30b430@gmail.com and ask for a copy of the project manifesto. And when you're able to bring that, then we will send you your copy so that way you have. We are glad to be able to have Mr. Okpokam back to the studios. Oh, he's gone again. I wanted to bring him up to give us a wrap up to this, but in case he's not able to do that, I would like you to know that what Mr. Okpokam A from Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria, has shared with us today is nothing but the gem of how Africa as a whole can survive. That is the gem of how Africa as a whole can survive. And we are glad that Mr. Okpokam is able to join us. Since then, we have reviewed a number of comments from 2 viewers from Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Yes, and they are
Sorry, I
happy
had
with
a
what
problem with network. Yeah,
I expect that is what happened, and
yeah.
that is Nigeria. We still, it's part of what we are struggling in this country. We need to have data capacity. Nigeria doesn't have data capacity. That's the same reason why you go to your ATM machine, put your card, and finish. They will say they can't pay you out of order. Interswitch. This is not happening. What causes all those things is paucity
It's
of
not happening.
data.
Yeah,
Yes. So I think as we get better with data, many things will become okay. All right. We actually at the stage where we need to wrap up, and I will
yeah.
try to give information that I have shared information, the last information I want to share, which is how you can get your copy of the project 30 before 30 International Manifesto and our desire to put it in the hand of 1 million Africans within 1 year. Okay, so Mr. Okpokam, on a final note, where do we see Mr. Okpokam A. Okpokam in the next 5 or 10 years?
Okay. Before I went offline, I talked about the importance of youth getting preparing themselves, because the truth is that they need to prepare themselves to actually take up those leadership positions. So we invite them. I also use the opportunity to also invite them to get themselves involved get themselves actively involved in politics of the day. Before I left, there was something which I wanted to actually point out.
Yeah,
You
go
know,
ahead.
take for instance, during election, let's say a politician comes around and tells you, oh, please, I need like 50 youths to come out and do mobilize 50 youth for me to go out and do some political campaign. And then you do that, and let's say he gives you people 1 million naira, as the case may be. Because he is bringing out 1 million naira, all of you look at that money as being too big. But pause for a while, do your calculation. You realize that at the end of the day, some of you will go home with only 5,000, 4,000, or 8,000. So the question I ask the youth is that, why do you want to sell 4 years for 8,000 naira that can't even pay your tuition fee, that can't even feed you for even 2 weeks? Why do you want to do that? So these are questions that we need to ask ourselves. When those things come like that, pause, take a break, think, this money that I'm going to collect, how is it going to impact it for the next 4 years? How is it going to help me? Rather, we should be asking sensible and wise questions. What are your plans on ground? What do you intend to do? Take for instance, I come from a locality where mostly the people there are farmers. So the question should be, what are you going to do to help improve our, our agricultural system where we are? What will you do to help us build capacity on the things we are doing? So these are the questions that we should ask. See, let's tell ourselves the truth. From where in this area, sometimes we don't have light. See, what young persons need is young persons just need 18 or 20 hours of light every day to allow them do their businesses, to allow them do their welding, allow them run their barbering shop and salons. That's all they need. But you see, you are making around 30 or 40,000 naira every month, but you realize that you spend almost 20,000 naira on fuel. So, and you need to survive on probably 20,000 naira, you have other bills to pay. So, we're not asking for too much. What young people are asking for, give them light, give them facilities that can allow them to work. We're not asking for you to employ us. That's not what we want. All we want is just let us have an environment where young persons can do businesses and pay themselves and survive. That's not too much that these young persons are asking for. And on the other way, where I see myself as continually being actively engaged in asking for good governance. And when the opportunity comes for me to serve, I hope to be able to serve. But we will continue asking for good governance. We will continue asking for good policing. We will continue asking for the government to help us stop police brutality. We will continue asking the government for them not to give hardship allowance to the senators. Give the hardship allowance to the policeman who is on the street, who is in the sun, who is standing on the sun every day. Give the hardship allowance to him. Give that entertainment to the policeman who should be able to afford a hamburger and a drink when he's working. Give that entertainment to them, not giving the hardship allowance to the senator. We give them free house and give them free car. These are people who need the hardship allowance. We have the service and enforcement improve their life standard. When you improve their life standard, it affects them psychologically. But a policeman goes to the street, he carries a gun with sun on his head. He doesn't have, he can't even afford a bottle of water of 100 to drink. So these things are provocative. They provoke them. So all they simply do is that the masses or the youth, they become the end point of all of this. So that's why we are calling for end to police brutality. But police brutality cannot end when the life of this policeman is not being improved. Of all the barracks I know in Nigeria, mostly where I am, in the last 30 years, I have never seen a police barracks ever being renovated. I have not. I have never seen it. But their sister forces, you see that happen once in a while. But in the case of police, I have never seen. They live in very terrible condition. The condition that me myself as a person, I'm not gonna live. So we keep on engaging and continue calling on the government to improve the life of our security servicemen, and also, to also mention this, it's on record that our chief executives in our state, they collect 600 million naira every month for security vote. And the question is, what are they doing with it? Now, at the same time, you know that the governor does not control the police, doesn't control the army. So what does it really control? And he gets that amount of money. And I would say, why we agitate and canvass and call for state policing, governors can also take the initiative by involving the community, by involving the youth. Now, in the wake of this looting we have seen so far in the area I stay, in the last 2 days, I've gotten myself involved in community police for 3 nights. I've not slept. I have to go out at night. So if take for instance like my state that has 18 local government, if the governor decide to vote 10 million naira to each of these states every month, 10 million to each of these local government area, they can be able, it is possible for them to engage the youth in securing their community, and maybe at the end of the month you pay them 10,000. There is no, I don't think there's any local government in Kwara State that has up to about 40 or 50 communities. There is none. You can carefully and articulately engage at least between 30 to 25 youths to police their community, and you give them 10,000 naira. It's possible that the government can do that. And while you have the police who go from time to time to monitor to see what is happening, this work can be engaged, and that way we can better safeguard and police our community. So there are other things that the governors could do in their state while we still agitate and wait for state policing to be legislated upon and pass into law. So there are things that governors can do. So they should not, as much as we know that they don't control the police and army, let them not just sit back and say, I don't control the commission of police. There are things they can do. Let them engage these youth in their community. That's why that money is given to them. So I think on the final note for me, I'll keep on engaging and still canvassing for good governance.
Thank you very much. Speaking about state police, I think we need to really push for the one that goes down to community policing. You know, and I have some thoughts. We will soon do a program on community policing, and we would like you to make yourself available on that day. We'll notify you, and if you're able to be around, we'd like to spend some time with a number of other people just simply discussing this issue of community policing. Nigeria is so huge, no central command in police can be effective. It's not possible. And then, like you said,
No.
that 600 million, I think in Osun State, the governor was quarreling with his deputy. The deputy said he collects 750 million, not even your own is 600 million. When Theodoji was governor in Abia State, he collects 800 million. The state collects 2.5 something billion monthly. He alone takes away 800 million. And during that period, he took away that amount. Abia State was the most insecure state in the whole Nigeria. So if they can deploy, even if they can't if they fund the police with it, I mean, say police commissioner, this money is to put the police on their toes. Those policemen will be on their toes. Like you said, let that policeman be able to buy a hamburger and eat. So we carry that gun and stay for a whole day on the road without food. How can they do their work? They are thinking about their children and school fees. And you made a valid point there. And I think this needs to be repeated again and again. And when we bring bring people together for this community policing discussion, we want you to be a great part of it. Like you said, if the state governor will provide ordinary 10 million to send to the local governments, they can sponsor effective vigilante in all the communities,
Yes, very
and
well.
then they will keep the place safe. And my note on what we are bringing on the table that day, which you can begin to think about, is that it is not right to take a policeman from Aba and send him to Calabar or Goja or Sokoto to go and start policing. Who does he know? What culture does he know? And you need policemen who are from their own place. And then there are some shameful things our policemen are doing, which they cannot do if they are deployed in their village, because there's some honor that their family has, which he has to honor and respect. But if you send him to Sokoto, he looks back and forth, nobody connected to him is there, he can do anything. So this is what is happening. We had policemen who, this policeman, I think his name is Sule. He worked as a policeman in Aba for more than up to 30 years. He never moved. And he every time he will tell you, you say Sule no book, Sule no book, rank don't fool my shoulder. Because he's in Abadia harassing traders and everybody, collecting money, probably using it to buy the ranks and put on his shoulder without education and qualification. So he's probably still in Aba, because the way he's positioned in Aba, he probably will never live there again. He had built houses there, and all his children were born there and raised in that place. So now, but it's the point here is that if he's from Aba, if he's a native of Aba, he will not hold an Aba man and collect bribe when the mother of that man might be a relation of his own mother. So you have a great point there. I want you to get ready for what is coming. Now, meanwhile, Mr. Okpokam, please, thank you. This interview has wowed me. What you have said has changed my perspective about many things, and it has encouraged me to bring more young people right here on this stage. So we invite young people. Once you know that there's something you can share, like Mr. Okpokam today, to help this country and to help the world, especially Africa, please come. Get in touch with us at the African Town Hall Online Television, and we will package and prepare and come out here with you so that you can share this thing. The problem we have in Nigeria, by extension Africa and the world, is that people are not speaking. But since we started speaking, since we started Project 30 Before 30 in February 2020, so many things have changed in the continent. And I started wondering, but you just started yesterday. It may not be because of me, but it is that people may have been hearing things, and one thing that one of our youth spoke from the pulpit of Project 30 Before 30 completed the circle, and then action started. So it is a big pleasure for us to have this conversation. Please stand by for more, because you have been very insightful, very, very insightful. And then if you have friends who can do this, who have ideas, their head is good like yours, please connect them with us so that we will be able to put them in this spot, because our goal is for the personal empowerment of the rising generation, the personal development of the rising generation, so that they can midwife the renaissance of Africa. Thank you very much and have a great day. I'm going to leave on the chat bar the notice that if you want to get your copy of the manifesto, where you can get in touch with us to be able to get that. It has been a pleasure for me today to be with you here, Mr. Okpokam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please, and finally, please, let our female, want to see more of our female counterpart actively get involved, please. So they shouldn't be left out.
Thank you very much. In fact, our very first speaker on Project 30 Before 30 International is a woman. Since that time, we've been struggling to get more. If you know some sharp-minded ladies around you there, please put them, just connect them with me and tell them that I will put them here, and they can tell the whole world what they feel, and it is good for both them and the rest of the generations of Africa of this time. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is a good point.
Yeah.
It is noted well.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much, sir.
You have a great week.
Okay.
All right. So, viewers, thank you. This is where we come to the end of today's broadcast. I have been wowed by this great discussion with Mr. Okpokam, who has spoken to us from out of Calabar, Cross River State, South Nigeria. We want more young people to come and be on this program. I am just the gap, the old man in the gap between you and the new future. So come come so that I will show you the way to go get it. This is what we are doing in Project 30 before 30 International and the